When you let a woman go, everything changes. Not just in the physical, but in the spiritual, the emotional, and even the unseen realm, where destinies are shaped and aligned. Because a woman's presence is not accidental, it is intentional. She doesn't just walk into your life, she is sent. And when she is sent, she brings with her something heaven ordained, a presence that carries weight, a purpose that carries direction. A heart that often carries burdens that were never hers to carry, just to keep you afloat. You see, when God sends a woman into your life, especially a praying, purpose-driven woman, He is entrusting you with a part of His divine plan. And when she loves, she doesn't just love with emotions, she loves with her spirit. She loves with a wisdom that discerns the cracks you try to hide. She sees the broken parts, but chooses to stay. She knows your fears, your doubts, your flaws, and still, she covers you. That covering is not just emotional support, it is spiritual protection. She stands between you and things you didn't even know were after you. She prays battles away you never even had to fight. Her presence becomes a shield, a sanctuary, and a space for restoration. But when you let her go, when you treat her presence like it's common, when you mishandle what God sent, there is a shift. Because what you didn't value begins to echo in its absence. You start to notice that the peace in the room fades. The calm in your soul shakes. The confidence you once had begins to waver. Because you didn't realize that what kept the atmosphere steady wasn't your own strength. It was her quiet obedience to God, her prayers under her breath, her tears that no one saw, her late night worship that covered your name in silence. Letting her go is not just letting someone walk out the door. It's a disconnection from a divine flow. It's like unplugging from the power source and wondering why the light won't come on. You may still go through the motions, but the motion is now empty. There's no oil on it. There's no grace pushing it forward because you let go of the one who is carrying part of the assignment. Some women are portals. They carry access to things you would have never reached on your own. They are not loud about it. They don't announce what they carry, but their life is evidence. Their consistency is a sermon. Their discernment is surgical. They knew things you didn't say. They responded to things you didn't even understand about yourself. And now that she's gone, you start to realize that what you thought was your strength was her intercession. What you called your peace was her presence. What you believed was luck was her labor in the Spirit. This is why everything changes, because she wasn't just a partner, she was a prophecy. She was the answer to prayers you forgot you prayed, the help you didn't know you needed. And when you let her go, heaven registers that shift. God doesn't take lightly the mishandling of His vassals, especially the ones who were sent to anchor, heal, and elevate. You may try to replace her with someone who looks the part, sounds the part, even acts the part. But you will quickly discover that substitution does not equal restoration, because there's no substitute for divine placement. Her role was never cosmetic. It was covenantal. She was part of your molding, part of your breakthrough, part of the next season's unfolding. And now without her, you're forced to confront the silence that reminds you peace isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of purpose. You thought letting her go would make things easier. You believed you could maintain the blessing without honoring the vessel it came through. But blessings don't linger where dishonor resides. And now you feel the weight of what used to be light. The same battles you once overcame effortlessly are now mountains. Because what you didn't realize was she made things look easy, but she fought hard for your peace. And without her, you're exposed. But maybe the greatest change isn't around you, it's within you. You now carry a void that can't be filled by distractions, by others, by success, or by time, because what she gave wasn't temporal. It was eternal. It was rooted in faith, rooted in grace. And now, without her, the rhythm of your life is offbeat. The music is still playing, but the melody is gone. Letting a woman go isn't just a decision, it's a turning point, a crossroads where destiny takes a detour. Everything changes, because she was never just a woman. She was a whisper from heaven. And you let her go, and once heaven closes a chapter, it takes a miracle to reopen it. When you let a woman go, everything changes. Not just because she leaves, but because what she carried leaves with her. You thought she was just part of your life, maybe even just a phase. But the truth is, she was the hidden engine, the invisible strength, the voice in the background calling your name in prayer when no one else even remembered your struggle. She was the silent intercessor behind your success, and when she walks away, you begin to feel the quiet collapse of the structure you never knew she was holding up. You see, when a woman truly loves, especially a woman aligned with God, she doesn't just love you with her words or her time. She loves you with her prayers. She goes to war in the spirit for your mind, your future, your purpose. She prays when you sleep. She intercedes when you're distracted. She fasts for things you never even bothered to acknowledge. You thought your life was going smoothly because of your own effort. You thought doors opened because of your charm, your ambition, your strategy. But if you could pull back the veil, you'd see it was her standing in the gap for you when your name was being mentioned in rooms you didn't even know existed. There were battles you never had to fight because she fought them on her knees. There were traps set against your life that never caught you because she cried out to heaven in the middle of the night, pleading for your covering. You thought her quiet spirit meant she was passive, but there was fire in her silence. She was a warrior in disguise, wearing grace like armor and wielding faith like a sword. But then came the day you let her go. You didn't see her worth. You grew used to her presence. You forgot the power of her prayers, the weight of her words, the depth of her loyalty. And the moment she walked away, so did the atmosphere she brought with her. You were so focused on what she did or didn't do outwardly that you missed what she was doing daily in secret. You didn't realize you were standing on a foundation she was building in private. And now, everything feels off. It's not just the loneliness, it's the absence of favor. You still go to work, but the passion is missing. You still make plans, but they don't land the way they used to. It's like something is misaligned, and you can't quite figure out why. You were so confident in your independence that you failed to see how dependent your life had become on her intercession. And now, without it, you feel exposed. Because she was the one crying out for your name when you had no voice. She was praying for your healing while you ignored your brokenness. She believed in your potential when you only saw failure. She reminded God of His promises over your life when you were ready to walk away from your calling. And now that she's no longer speaking your name in prayer, you feel the silence. A deep spiritual silence that echoes louder than any noise. You didn't just lose a person, you lost a covering. You lost someone who knew how to call down heaven for your sake, who stood between you and disaster. And no matter how many people you surround yourself with now, no one can replicate that, because what she gave was spiritual, and spiritual investment can't be manufactured. It can't be replaced by convenience or companionship. It comes from connection, divine connection, and now that it's gone, everything feels vulnerable. You may try to push through, to recreate what once was, but it won't work, because success is no longer enough when it's missing piece. Progress doesn't feel like a win when you're spiritually depleted. And what's haunting is not her absence, but the realization that her presence was the reason you even had what you once celebrated. She prayed you into rooms you couldn't enter on your own. She rebuked storms before you even saw clouds. And the saddest part is, she never asked for recognition. She never did it for praise. She did it because she believed in who you could be. And now that she's gone, the world still sees the man, but heaven sees the difference. Letting her go didn't just remove a relationship, it removed a rhythm in your life that was keeping you in alignment with God's will. And now you're offbeat, trying to dance to a melody that no longer plays, because the music stopped when the intercession stopped. When her voice left your atmosphere, so did the spiritual authority that came with it. You'll come to understand that her love wasn't ordinary, it was intercessory. And once that kind of love is gone, you don't just miss it. You feel the absence of heaven's echo over your life. And by then, it might be too late to turn back. When you let a woman go, everything changes. Not just because you lose someone, but because you lose something deeper, something sacred. You lose stability. And not just the kind that's visible, not the schedule or the routine, but the spiritual stability, the emotional grounding, the unseen order she carried with her presence. A woman rooted in God doesn't just bring beauty or conversation or companionship. She brings divine structure. She brings alignment, balance, and calm into a space that would otherwise be chaotic. You may not have realized it while she was there, but your life had rhythm. There was a sense of direction, a flow. When you were breaking down, she was holding things up. When you were lost in your own mind, she created space for clarity. When you were rushing through life, she slowed down time with her tenderness. You thought it was just her personality, maybe her kindness, but it wasn't. It was her connection to God. Her spirit carried order, and her presence carried peace. And when that kind of woman leaves, the chaos you never noticed begins to rise like a flood. At first, you may not see it. You think you're doing fine. The silence seems like freedom. The space feels like relief. But soon, the stillness begins to speak. The silence begins to shout. And you begin to notice the cracks, the things she used to hold together without complaint, the reminders she whispered gently, the spiritual discernment she carried that kept you 2 steps ahead of disaster, the discipline she maintained, the atmosphere she protected, the boundaries she set without ever calling attention to herself. Now the dishes pile up, the appointments are missed, the energy in the house feels heavier, not because she did all the work, but because she brought balance. She brought wisdom. She knew when to speak and when to stay quiet. She knew how to sense the spiritual temperature of your life and respond with prayer, not panic. She didn't always say what she felt, but she carried the burden anyway. And now that she's gone, you're forced to carry what she used to absorb. She covered you in ways you'll never fully understand. You walked in confidence because she was praying you through doubt. You slept peacefully because she was awake in the spirit. You laughed freely because she absorbed the stress. And the thing is, she never made a show of it. She never demanded recognition or applause. She just did what God had wired her to do. Stabilize the storm, even if it meant standing in the rain by herself. When she walked out, that calm walked out with her. That grace walked out with her. That quiet strength that made everything feel possible, gone. And now, even though life looks the same, it feels completely different. You begin to sense the instability creeping in. The arguments are more frequent. The tension builds quicker. The peace doesn't last like it used to. And you try to replace her with noise, with movement, with other people, but nothing fits. Nothing works. Because what she brought wasn't physical, it was spiritual. A woman who walks with God becomes a pillar. She becomes a spiritual architect of the home. She builds atmosphere with prayer, shapes destiny with her encouragement, and nurtures growth with her discernment. She doesn't control the environment. She carries it. And once she's gone, the whole system feels off balance. The temperature shifts. The foundation begins to tremble. Not because you're incapable of surviving without her, but because you didn't realize how much of your survival was sustained through her presence. You thought you were leading, but she was guiding. You thought you were the rock, but she was the river flowing around it, keeping it steady. You thought you were standing strong, but she was the ground beneath your feet, solid, silent, and sacred. Now that she's not there, the distractions you used to ignore now disturb you. The noise you once drowned in now feels deafening. Her voice, which you once heard every day, becomes a memory that lingers in the background of your conscience. And slowly, reality sets in. You didn't just lose a woman, you lost the anchor. You lost the rhythm. You lost the voice that brought order to your chaos and direction to your confusion. You'll look back and remember the small things she did, the way she noticed what no one else did, the way she anticipated your needs before you voiced them, the way she corrected with love and built you up with grace. And in those moments of reflection, you'll realize something no replacement can ever satisfy. stability, is not in having someone around, it's in having the right one, the one sent by God, the one who made your world feel steady just by being in it. Because letting her go didn't just disrupt the relationship, it disrupted the atmosphere, the flow, the balance of everything you were building together. And now you stand in the middle of what looks like the same life, but without her spirit in it, everything feels different. And that's when you understand she wasn't just part of your life, she was holding it together. When you let a woman go, everything changes. And one of the most immediate and painful shifts is how your comfort zone begins to crack. You were used to her presence, her care, her voice. You got comfortable knowing she was there. Even if you didn't say it, you counted on her strength, her loyalty, her consistency. She became your peace without you even realizing it. And in that comfort, you forgot the weight she carried to keep things calm. But the day she walks away, you're left to face what she had been silently absorbing all along. You see, comfort is deceptive. It makes you feel safe, even when you're standing in danger. It tricks you into thinking you're whole, when really you're being held together by someone else's love, prayers, and sacrifice, and that's exactly what she did. She carried the tension, the heaviness, the emotional weight of the relationship, so you didn't have to feel it all at once. She didn't ask for credit. She didn't complain. She just carried it, hoping one day you'd notice before she broke. But you didn't. You got used to the ease she brought into your life, the way she read your moods without needing words, the way she knew how to bring calm to your storms, the way her presence could silence the voices of doubt in your mind. And because she made it look effortless, you assumed it was easy. You assumed it was natural, automatic, even permanent. So you stayed in your comfort zone, you stopped growing, you stopped learning, you stopped listening. Because she was always there to fix it, to heal it, to pray over it, until one day she wasn't. And that's when the cracks appear. That's when you realized your comfort zone was actually her battlefield. She was the one doing the work, fighting off the enemy at the gate, building a home out of broken pieces. You thought the peace was natural. It was nurtured. You thought the warmth was effortless. It was earned. Every ounce of comfort you enjoyed was bought with the cost she paid in silence. And when she left, so did the covering. Suddenly, everything that once felt easy becomes difficult. Conversations feel heavier. Sleep becomes restless. The home feels colder. You sit in the same chair, but it doesn't feel the same. Because what made it feel like home was her, not the furniture, not the walls, not the routine. Her spirit, her energy, her love. She carried a softness that made your hardness feel safe. She carried a faith that made your doubt feel less heavy. And now, without her, the mirror reflects who you really are, without the filter of her grace. That's the crack in the comfort zone. The moment you have to face yourself, without her voice, softening the blow, you have to look at the man you became when you stopped trying, when you stopped pursuing, when you stopped honoring the very thing that held your world together. And now, with her gone, you're left to hold the weight of a reality she made bearable. You try to move on, try to return to the life you knew, but it doesn't work because what she built can't be duplicated by someone new. What she gave can't be replicated with a replacement because what she was offering wasn't just attention, it was alignment. She was nurturing your soul, not just your ego. She was calling out your purpose, not just pleasing your pride. And you grew comfortable in the glow of her light, not realizing you were the one standing in the dark all along. You thought comfort meant love, but comfort without growth is a trap. It dulls your sensitivity. It numbs your urgency. And in her presence, you stopped evolving. You stopped being the man she believed you could be. And when she realized she could no longer grow in the shadow of your complacency, she chose to leave. Not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. Because sometimes love demands separation. Sometimes walking away is the final act of intercession. And now everything is uncomfortable. Not because life got harder, but because she made the hard parts feel easy. And without her, you see how unprepared you truly were. Not for life, but for the kind of love she brought. A love that saw your potential, carried your pain, and believed in your healing, while you stayed safe behind the excuse of just being yourself. But now, yourself is all you have left, and without her light, you begin to see how much of that self was molded by her presence, her prayers, her grace. And when comfort shatters, so does the illusion that you were ever whole without her. When you let a woman go, everything changes, especially the way you see yourself. Because the truth is, she didn't just love who you were, she believed in who you could become. She saw potential buried under your pain, purpose hidden beneath your pride, and greatness covered in your wounds. She didn't fall in love with your image, she fell in love with your destiny. And every time you failed to believe in yourself, she reminded you of the man you were created to be. But now that she's gone, you no longer hear that voice. And the silence makes you confront something terrifying. Without her belief, you no longer believe in yourself the same way. You didn't realize how deeply she affirmed you, not just with compliments, but with presence, with patience, with unwavering loyalty in the face of your inconsistency. While others saw the surface, she saw your soul. She noticed the hidden battles. She sensed the unspoken fears. And instead of running, she stood by you. Not because you were perfect, but because she saw the parts of you even you were too afraid to confront. And through her love, she challenged you to rise, to be better, to dig deeper. But comfort became your enemy. You grew used to her lifting you while you remained still. You forgot that her encouragement was not your entitlement. It was a gift. A divine whisper placed in your life to guide you through your storms. She wasn't just a woman in your life, she was a mirror of who you were becoming. And that scared you. Because when someone sees the real you, the flawed you, the broken you, the unpolished, unfinished you, they hold a power not everyone should have. But she didn't use it to control you, she used it to bless you. She carried your dreams like they were her own. She spoke life into your tired bones. She prophesied over your future in moments when you didn't even want to face tomorrow. And now that she's no longer by your side, that mirror is gone, and so is the clarity you once had about who you could be. Now, your thoughts echo without correction. Your plans feel hollow without her insight. You move forward, but you feel disconnected. Because her love created direction. Her belief gave you courage. Her presence grounded your ambition in something eternal. And without that grounding, you start to drift. From yourself, from purpose, from progress. Because she wasn't just loving you, she was sharpening you. She was pushing you, refining you, praying for you in ways you'll never fully understand. And now that she's no longer pouring into you, your cup feels empty. Even when it's surrounded by others. You may find another woman, she might be kind, beautiful, supportive even, but she won't know your soul the way the last one did. She won't know how to interpret your silence, how to challenge your weakness without shaming your spirit, because that kind of connection doesn't come around often. It's divine. And when you take divine favor for granted, you don't just lose a relationship, you lose alignment. And with that, you lose the parts of yourself that only come alive in the presence of someone who truly sees you. Saddest part is, she was never trying to fix you. She just wanted you to believe in yourself the way she believed in you, to rise into the calling she saw every time she looked into your eyes. But you were too distracted, too wrapped up in your own ego, too convinced you had time, until time ran out and she walked away, not because she stopped loving you, but because she could no longer carry your potential alone. She needed you to rise, and you didn't. Now in the stillness, you hear her words replay in your mind. The encouragements, the warnings, the prayers. You remember how she spoke to your spirit when no one else even knew you were struggling. You remember how she held on when even you wanted to give up. And now you understand her belief wasn't just emotional. It was prophetic. She wasn't loving who you were. She was loving who you were destined to become. And without her presence, that destiny feels distant. You'll learn, perhaps too late, that a woman who loves like that doesn't come around twice. Because she doesn't just see your potential, she invests in it. She waters it. She guards it. She waits for it. But if left unappreciated, she will leave. And when she does, you're not just losing her, you're losing the version of yourself that only her love could awaken. And when that realization finally settles, it doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your image of yourself. Because now you know she didn't leave because you weren't enough. She left because you stopped trying to become the man she already knew you could be. When you let a woman go, everything changes, especially your understanding of timing. Not the kind of timing that shows up on a clock or a calendar, but the kind of divine timing that aligns with purpose, growth, and grace. You see, some women aren't just part of your life. They arrive at the exact moment your soul needs them. They are sent, not stumbled upon. And when that kind of woman shows up, it isn't coincidence. It's God's mercy wrapped in flesh. But when you let her go, when you mishandle her presence, when you underestimate her worth, what you're really rejecting is God's timing for your transformation. She didn't enter your life to entertain you. She came to evolve you. She came to challenge you, to speak truth into areas you were content to leave broken, to push you past your laziness, past your pain, past your patterns. She didn't show up because you were ready. She showed up because it was time. And when divine timing meets human stubbornness, something always breaks. Either the ego bends or the blessing walks away. And so when she leaves, you're not just losing love, you're losing time. You're losing the window God opened for you to become something greater. You're losing the season where growth was ripe, where alignment was near, where healing could have happened together. You may think you'll get another chance, another time, another woman, another opportunity. But divine timing doesn't work on your schedule. It works on obedience. And disobedience to what God sends often leads to delay, sometimes a lifetime of it. You didn't see it then. You thought she was just another woman with emotions, needs, and flaws. You thought you had time to fix it, time to grow up, time to get serious. But grace isn't always on a loop. Sometimes it knocks once, and if the door isn't opened, it leaves. And that's what happened. She didn't just leave because she was tired. She left because time ran out. The time for excuses, the time for almost, the time for not yet. She needed more. And heaven had been echoing that need long before she found the strength to walk away. And now you feel it. Not just the absence of her presence, but the weight of what could have been. You replay conversations, moments, choices. You think about how close you were to becoming the man you were meant to be, and how quickly it slipped away the moment you stopped respecting the timing. You delayed what should have been immediate. You ignored what should have been nurtured. And now all that's left is regret. Because here's the truth. God won't force you to keep what you're not willing to value. He'll present you with destiny, but if you treat it like a distraction, it will disappear. And when it does, it leaves behind a silence that no crowd can fill. You may chase new connections, new women, new paths, but none of them will carry the weight of what she represented. Because she wasn't just the one, she was the one for that moment, that season, that window of divine change. Sometimes we only understand timing in hindsight. We look back and see how everything was aligned. Your heart was softening, her spirit was strong, and God was near. But because you were distracted by comfort, fear, or pride, you didn't respond. And now, you're living with the echo of what could have been. Letting her go didn't just change your relationship status. It shifted the entire rhythm of your future. Because what she carried wasn't just love. It was acceleration. She would have moved your life forward. She would have helped birth the next version of you. She would have walked beside you into your calling. But instead, she walked away, and with her the season ended. Now, every woman you meet will remind you of her. Not because they look like her, but because none of them carry what she did. You'll measure every moment against the timing you once had and lost. And though you'll move on, something inside you will always know you missed the moment. Because some women are not meant to stay forever, but what they bring into your life is, and if you fail to receive it, you lose more than the relationship. You lose time, divine time, time that doesn't rewind. And the weight of that, it doesn't just stay with you, it shapes you, it humbles you, it makes you more aware, more cautious, more reverent of the next opportunity God places in your path. Because once you've mishandled a miracle, you never forget how holy it was.